This is Abe Friedtanzer from Awards Buzz, and I'm very excited to be speaking with Hannah Boss and Paul Thureen about Somebody Somewhere. How are you both doing today?
We're
Good.
doing
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for being here. I'm a big fan of this show. I've had a chance to talk to Bridget and Jeff in the past, but this is our first time speaking for the auspicious and bittersweet occasion of the final season of this show. So I want to hear, how are you both feeling right now?
We're so excited to share season 3 with everyone. Of course, we love this show, so it's a little bittersweet, but we're just so excited to share this season.
Yeah, it is for us, these characters are sort of alive. They're real, and so for us, they live on forever, which is comforting, but it's also this is all we've thought about for the last 6 years is these people and these lives and these stories. And so, as Hannah said, it's very bittersweet. But I will say the process of shooting this third season, where like so much crew was back again, and they all have so much love for the show and so much love for Bridget, and then there were new people on the team that were just lovely. So I think the process of this season was really special, and I think we're really proud and more than anything excited to share this season with the world.
Great. Well, I was looking back because I was curious. I was like, how long has this show been on? Because it's hard to keep track these days. And it looks like it's been pretty much every year with a little bit, a few months in between. And I think that's something rare for TV these days to have, sort of a consistent run that close together that the whole span of this show, is in less than 3 years. And it's only 21 episodes, which makes it a pretty big, pretty easy thing to catch up on for those who haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it
It's a
was,
binge
we
watch.
shot the pilot in 2019. And so there was sort of like a break then with COVID. And so we wrote the first season during COVID. And so, the seasons have come out in a shorter time period, but there have been sort of like outside circumstances that have sort of spaced it out the way that it was.
I think 7 episodes is certainly a short, small number, but it's sort of nice. Is that the ideal, or would you love to have had, a lot more each time?
I loved it. I loved doing 7. I love, keeping them wanting more, but also, I mean, I would write this show forever. So I would write, easily a 26 episode season.
I like
And
26 seasons. That sounds good too.
Yeah.
an odd number is maybe weird, but for some reason, like, yeah, 6 seems too short and British, and 8 seems too long. There's always like every show that I love, I'm like, well, that was 1 episode too long. So we were like, let's just
We liked 7. It felt right.
yeah.
Let's say 6 is definitely very British, so this is
Yeah.
nice. What did you have, sort of conceived of at the beginning, and how much developed as you were writing in terms of where the characters and the story went?
Mm, I'm trying to think back.
That's a great question. I think for us, the first season, I think we had sort of like ideas of where we wanted to go, and we knew that like really the central love story was always going to be Sam and Joel, and we knew the role that music was going to play. But then, you shoot it, and this was our first time creating a show and running a show. We'd like written other pilots, but nothing had ever gone before. And so for all of us, for the two of us, for Bridget, for Jeff, for Murray, so many of us came up together in New York at the same time, making our own stuff, and sort of like found this moment. So it meant so much to everybody, and everybody in it sort of like brought so much. So you go in with plans and thinking how like
Yeah.
other seasons are going to go, but then you see like the
You
Sam
see
and
what people
Jessica
bring.
relationship, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, we got to bring
That's
this
why
up.
I think that's why we both paused, because we are like, I think that we at the beginning thought some things, but then as you sort of meet these characters that are birthed on a show, it's like we went into these other directions and sort of embraced where things went and just had fun with what we had to play with, because we just had, I mean, Mary Catherine, Jeff, Tim, everyone just brought so much. So we sort of wrote to people, and that was just so fun because we had just so many incredible people. Yeah.
And finding
The
the first
pilot we
season,
had with the pilot we had, we wrote in Frederick Coco Murray, but just as we kept going, it was like it was just fun to keep building upon what we already established, And we
I think
bury our structure, so we are always planting seeds for the future. But yeah, I mean, Paul.
I was going to say the first season is like finding the vocabulary of the show, and
Mhm.
especially a show like this that's so slice of lifey. We were always like, does this count? Is this real? Can we do this? And HBO was like, yes, more of this real life. And so I think after we sort of like had that first season up, and then we learned so much in the edit and the things that like we wrote that we were like, oh, we're going to cut that. So next time we won't write that. From that moment, after we sort of had that first season done, then it was this thing of the two of us and Bridget and Carolyn Strauss, our EP, just constantly being like, sort of like playing out the future and talking about it and figuring it out. So I think after that first season, then sort of the world expanded. And then, a big thing was losing Mike Haggerty after the end of the first season, who played Ed. And I think that he was one person that, because of who he was and what he brought to the role, we really went sort of like the family direction and really invested in the family. And so, that was sort of, we had to sort of figure out how to move forward through that. But I think because of that, sort of the Sam and Trisha relationship became really, really important.
I really enjoyed that relationship. I think it's a lot of fun. And there are so many times where you think you know what's going to happen with them, and then it sort of just goes a different way. And
Yeah.
Sam's not always, the guilty one in that relationship, which I think initially we might have thought. And as Trisha sort of lets herself go a little more and figure out what she really needs for herself, it's been really a lot of fun to see them together.
Yeah, there's a lot of growth in that relationship, especially. And thinking where she started from season one, Trisha pilot, to where she ends in the end. I mean, this season she is having her moment, and it's so fun to see Mary Catherine just embrace all of that. It was very fun to shoot.
She just vibrates. Like, it's fun to see her frustrated or angry, but there's these real moments of sort
So
of
funny.
introspection and depth this season. I just think that she's just incredible. We love that relationship too.
I also really like seeing Joel and Brad's relationship, because on any other show, again, that would, Brad would be this threat, or he'd be boring or something. But instead, he's actually just so sweet, and there are some things to figure out. But I love how it goes hand in hand with Sam and Joel's platonic relationship.
Totally. And they really, really have a lot of issues over that dishwasher.
It's always got to be somebody.
It's the day-to-day stuff that often sort of is the big stuff in relationships. And I think we
And in
doubled
our
down.
show, it's things like that. They're huge.
Yeah.
I also like seeing what's happened with Fred, who, as you mentioned, was not always such a big part of the show. And then just, again, sort of a supporting role that's not so crucial or changing everything, but is always just a memorable presence.
Totally. And his relationship this season gets really real.
Yeah, he brings so much to the world, and is so fun and such an important part of the DNA of the show. And yeah, he's another person that when you see him as a performer, what he can do, that it's really fun to sort of to write for him and to work with him.
Do you see pieces of yourselves in any of these characters? And if so, who?
I mean, Paul and I are best friends. We have been for forever, and we've been writing together for like 25 years. So I think a lot of the arguments that we had earlier in our friendship probably snuck onto this show. I mean, I know they have, but yeah.
I had a thought that I want to bounce off you, Hannah, because I think that we love the idea of having like best friends as like the central, the central relationship, because that's who we are. And I was thinking about ways that it's like, well, it's not that like Hannah's the Sam and I'm the Joel, and it's also like so much of it is also Bridget. But I do think that I was thinking that there's weird points where I'm the Sam and you're the Joel. Mainly, I'm thinking about the fact that you're on me every day to schedule a colonoscopy. And I think that there's ways that like I don't take care of myself the way that Sam doesn't. And Hannah's the person who gets on me about those things. And watching the season
for my
again,
birthday,
like,
you have to call and get a colonoscopy. And he has not done that. And it's 3 days ago. I had my birthday.
Present.
Promised. Yeah.
And I am doing it. But I did realize that that's like that there is sort of some parts of that relationship. And for me, some parts of Sam, the one that sort of doesn't care for themselves sometimes, that is like, oh yeah, that's a little bit of me.
Well, you can talk to your best friend, you know them super well. You can just like, violently tell them that they have to do something because you love them,
I enjoyed your collaboration on Driveways. I've loved this show. I haven't finished. I have 2 episodes left. I'm saving for another time. What's next? Are you working on something together already?
Well, first of all, thank you
Thank you
so
for
much
watching Driveways.
for watching Driveways, and I think the last 2 episodes of the season are great. So I'm excited for you to see them. And we are, it's weird to like I said, we've been just sort of in this world for six years, and so right now we're just sort of like celebrating this show. And then we've been writing together for 25 years, so we're going to keep on writing. But right now we're just sort of trying to. We're not good at celebrating, and so we're going to try to celebrate this moment. We're excited to share this season with the world.
I'm excited for people to see it. Let's try to make it as loud as possible. Thank you both so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.